All right. Good morning. It is CDK day. Who is excited? Hey, I'm seeing a lot of chat going on out there. Folks are excited. My name is Eric Johson. I want you to see my shirt. I'm pretty proud of this. Matt, tell them who you are.
Hey, everybody. My name is Matthew Bonig. I've got a shirt as well. In fact, if anybody can post in comments about what this is a reference to, then I'll make sure you get a pancake sticker sent to you in the mail.
I already tried, and I could not for the life of me see that.
It's a really deep reference, yes. But hey, we're really glad to have you here today. We are super excited. We had over 3,000 people signed up today for CDK Day, which is amazing.
3,000.
So thank you everybody for coming today. We really appreciate it. We hope we got some really good content for you.
All right, so let's get started. So first of all, yes, I already see a comment. It's OMG Eric, and I think what they're saying is, what is he doing on this CDK day? So you're right. Most of the time you see me with Sam. I am a huge Sam fan, and I'm going to be really honest. I can't even spell CDK, but I want to learn it. I'm very excited about it. So I was excited to get to host this, and the reason I'm hosting this is if you're a newbie to CDK, I'm going to ask the questions you're thinking. One, how do you spell CDK? One, how do you do things? But normally, like I said, I am a developer advocate for serverless on AWS. And guess what? Matt, can you build serverless with CDK?
Absolutely. In fact, it works really well for building serverless.
Yes, it does. And I've seen a lot of really cool things coming out. So with that, let's kind of get started. So let's take care of some of the housekeeping here. So first of all, Matt, why don't you jump in?
Yeah. So first off, if you haven't joined it already, we have got a Slack channel for the CDK. Go ahead and join it on this link right here. And in that Slack channel, we're going to be having conversations all day. Each of the talks will have their own breakout room, so you can join in the discussion there. If it's a recorded discussion, we've got a lot of moderators there to take questions and things like that. We do have a code of conduct for the entire day for our Slack channel. It's going to be available right here on this cdk.com/COC. Please take a look at that. If you have any problems, if anybody isn't being kind, please go ahead and just submit a report over to this right here, this email report at cdk.dev. We want everyone to have a really good time today, and we don't want anyone to be attacked or harassed. So please adhere to that. Finally, we're going to have a Q&A session during the lunch break with a round table of about 4 or 5 people. So if you have any questions about the CDK, the CDKs, or the Terraform CDK, please ask those questions within the Slack channels. And when we get to that lunch breakout, we're going to go ahead and try to get those answered for you.
Is CDKs. I have to ask, what is CDKs? And I don't want you to go into it, but what is that? I hear CDKs. Is that KATES?
That is the CDK API built for Kubernetes, so that you can go ahead and use the same construct API model for building your Kubernetes resources.
All right. Okay. And we're going to cover some of the others. I got to be honest, again, being the newbie, I thought CDK was just AWS, but apparently not the case. So, and we're hearing from some different folks in other clouds, right? And and it's not all going to be SAM from what I've learned. And so, there's probably going to be very little SAM in this. That's okay. I'll bring the SAM. But yeah, that's really exciting because CDK, so help me list it out. And you're probably going to cover this later, but you're talking CDK, obviously the AWS CDK.
Yep.
So Matt, what does CDK stand for? Let's get real basic for a minute.
Oh yeah, real basic. Cloud Development Kit.
Okay. All righty. Okay. All right, so it's Cloud Development Kit. Okay, I can do that. So now I can spell that. Okay. So second thing, what are the different CDKs that you can do?
Well, we've got the original AWS Cloud Development Kit, or CDK, and that's what we're going to be largely talking about today. But we've also took that excellent programming model, excellent representation and abstraction of your infrastructure as code, And within the last few months, we've seen two major projects come out of it, the CDKs for Kubernetes and the Terraform CDK. But we'll have some presentations on both of those today. And we've got a really cool one at the end, which is the CDK for Azure prototyping with a gentleman from Microsoft. So stay tuned for that at the very end. We're going to be also seeing one for Microsoft's Azure platform, which is awesome. And I have a feeling we're probably going to see more of these coming out through the future.
I would imagine it's an interesting concept, and I know we're going to go deeper into it. But when people ask me, what is the CDK? It's this. Well, I'll let you cover it. I know you kind of got a 101 coming up, so I'm going to let you cover that then. But I want to introduce somebody, okay? And I'm gonna pull him in real quick. Hey, there's Elad. Hey, Elad, welcome.
Hey guys. Hi.
This coming to us from Tel Aviv. What time is it there, Elad?
It's 5 p.m. Not too bad.
Oh yeah, that's not. Well, yeah, I had to get up at
the earliest I've met with people.
Okay. All right. All right. So this is Eli Ben Israel. He is the principal engineer for the AWS CDK team. So I welcome you. And yeah, tell us more about what's going on with CDK.
So yeah, hi. It's great to be here. It's very exciting, to be honest. See so much people interested in this project, and this day organized by the community is probably the most fulfilling thing that we can expect from something like the AWS CDK project. I'm a principal engineer at AWS. I've been working on the CDK project for the past 3.5 years almost. So basically started the project very early as a prototype in Amazon.com as part of the team that worked on Amazon Search, the search box that you see in the Amazon.com website. And what we did there is that we had this big data streaming service that we needed to build to inform the search index when new products are being ordered or viewed, so that the search index can be more efficient. And we use Kinesis and DynamoDB and Lambda and all the good stuff that AWS has. And obviously, we also use CloudFormation because we needed to deploy this into multiple regions with development accounts, integration accounts, testing accounts, and stuff like that. A very classic AWS type, Amazon service. And very quickly, we realized that writing all this configuration in JSON and big JSON files that grew larger and larger and involved, and there's a lot of relationships between the resources. It's just not maintainable. It's not the right tool for being able to model all this complexity and test it in isolation. And so being developers coming from the software development space, we knew that there are better tools. And general purpose programming languages, object orientation are great tools to model these things. And so what we did is we created this internal library in Java. We use Java in this project to be able to express those abstractions in code and generate the CloudFormation. We just thought we want to treat CloudFormation as the assembly language, as the intermediate language that eventually goes off and does the heavy lifting of provisioning the resources. But when I actually define my application, I want to be able to use imperative structures like for loops and if statements and create, and express ideas like my ingestion pipeline or my store layer, things like that we do all the time in software. And this proved very, very successful. It was really fun to work on this project. And what we did is basically Amazon has this great culture of internal entrepreneurship. What does that say?
That said serverless for everyone. They were asking me where the Dr. Pepper was. There's the Diet Dr. Pepper. I wouldn't be without it. I am sorry for throwing you off your
No worries.
game.
No worries.
Okay.
And so I wrote this press release. Amazon has this format called press release. It's pretty well known, and it's actually a really magical process. And basically, what you do is you write about the future. You kind of write like a science fiction press release, something that will happen within 2 years or 1 year or 3 years. And so it's as if Amazon had released this as a public product, within a year. And I started touring Amazon and showing this press release to leaders around the company. alongside this real world, large scale project. And these two things were very convincing, right? Because we had a really strong use case, we had a really strong problem and really strong solution to the problem. And quite quickly, we got funding to get started. And Amazon's very organic. So we actually hired someone from the Netherlands who built another internal tool that did something very similar. It's very chaotic at Amazon. Eric, I know you're probably familiar. So it's all chaos. It's basically embracing the chaos.
Organized chaos, that's right.
Organized
yes. Chaos. Yeah.
We accidentally found this guy in the Netherlands, so we hired him and started working on the project. And I guess the rest of his history. That's how the CDK started. It's from real world problems, right? From real world pain.
So that's quite a story to bring you to, and I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, I've written a few PR FAQs is what we call them. And that's a process. So going back on that, so in the PRFAQ process, and I'm not going to expose all that, but some of the things we have to do is we have to answer questions. What do we think people are going to ask us? What were some of the questions you thought, okay, here's what they're going to ask us, and what are people asking you? I'm curious about that.
I think the biggest question that really was a really hard question, especially given our prototype was Java. Amazon is in many ways a Java shop, or at least a big parts of it, especially Amazon.com.
I'm working on that.
Yeah, and so I think the biggest question was like, are we going to release this in Java? Are we going to force everybody to use Java in order to define their infrastructure? And the answer is no, right? We're customer obsessed. We want to be where developers are. We want to bring the things to their comfort zone. And so I think that was the biggest question, and it actually took us some time to come up with JSII, which is actually a separate technology that's heavily used by the AWS CDK and by all other CDKs, that allows us to write the CDK in one language, in TypeScript, and vend it to multiple programming languages. It's quite unique and very special. Obviously, it takes some interesting trade-offs because of the nature of this technology. But I think that was actually the biggest kind of question that people asked. And, we had to go back to the drawing board because, they told us, we're not going to be able to fund something like that at the scale of AWS, offering high-level APIs for all AWS services and only apply to people who use Java or TypeScript or Node or Python.
Right. I'm sorry, go ahead. I interrupted you.
No, so I think this was definitely an interesting question, and was a very interesting challenge up from the day one of the project. Like, we couldn't start the project without having a solution, and so we prototyped some ideas and came up with the process, the engine for JSII, or the idea behind JSII, and we proved that it's possible. Obviously, it took a year longer than I wanted it to take. I was ready to announce that could reinvent, 2 months later. But I was young and stupid back then. And now I'm just older and stupid.
Well, I don't know if you saw earlier, but there are some folks who think you're a mad scientist, is what that message said. So, all right. So something happened yesterday that was pretty cool. Tell us about it.
Yeah, it was actually a very pleasant coincidence. We knew this is going to happen. We couldn't really share it with with everybody, but we had the AWS Summit, the American Summit today, and Werner Vogel's in the keynote spent about 20 minutes talking about the origins of the CDK. And so if you're interested in learning more about the story, there's a little link there. And you can find it quite easily. And they made an incredible job explaining the origin of the CDK, and actually the idea behind it is beautiful animations and stuff. So highly recommended, and it's very nice to see that.
So tell us, we've got the AWS CDK. We've seen the CDK project come out recently, and that's something that you guys really spearheaded internally, correct?
Yeah, I think even before we GA'd the CDK, it was in developer preview for I think about 6 months. And during that developer preview stage, we saw lots of traction, we saw lots of interest, and we learned about the technology, right? Like, it's not that we knew everything. It's a very organic process. The software designs itself in a sense, and at some point we were like, this must apply to other domains. This idea of being able to use imperative, general purpose, strongly typed APIs to define configuration that then goes into a declarative system, right? Like, it basically gives you the best of both worlds in a way. It should apply to other domains, and Kubernetes is very popular and was very popular already back then. And so we kind of set our eyes on that, and we try to find partners to build this thing, to kind of prototype this idea of CDK for Kubernetes with. I think it took about 3-4 months before I met the senior product manager for EKS at the GA of the AWS CDK. And we literally accidentally met at a bar, at a rooftop bar in New York. And he approached me and he said, "We have to build a CDK for Kubernetes." And I was like, "Yes, we do." And then we partnered up. It took 6 months or something to get that kick that off, especially because CDK for Kubernetes, as opposed to almost every AWS initiative in the space, is completely open source and completely non-AWS specific. It's not related to EKS. It's not related to AWS resources. It's pure Kubernetes. And so it took us some time to find the right leaders at Amazon that really understood that this is the right thing to do in the Kubernetes space. And so it happened that we basically looked at this project and started extracting the lower level building blocks from the AWS CDK into open source libraries. So we had JSI already open sourced, and we extracted the construct base class, which is at the core of all CDKs at this point, and a few other modules. And then we took those modules and connected them together and created the Kubernetes CDK. And it's also very early in this project, but I'm super excited by it. I also think it's going to be incredibly valuable to users.
I agree.
Right.
I personally agree.
Yep. So, Elad, we're going to be hearing from you a little later, right?
Yeah, I'm going to talk about another CDK project that I'm playing.
All right. Well, we're going to bring in someone else here. We're going to bring in Mishra, and Elad. We'll see you a little later.
Thanks a lot.
So, all right.
Thank you, guys.
Bye. Hey, Mishra, welcome. Thanks for joining us. I'm pretty excited to have you here. Tell us who you are and what you're doing.
Yeah, I'm really excited to be here. My name is Mishra. I'm the technical advisor to the CTO at HashiCorp. So I work in the office of CTO, and I get to talk about CDK for Terraform, which comes from a collaboration between AWS and HashiCorp. So it's been a really exciting few months for us.
Awesome. Okay. So tell us about, so Terraform, and this was new to me. So tell us about, and I've got your screen up here. Tell us about this integration.
Yeah, I think I'll kind of give some kind of the human side to it. I'm really happy that Elad was on the call, because we collaborated with Elad for probably the early months of the project. And then the AWS CDK team was super supportive throughout this. So the way this project began was at AWS reInvent, when I think Elad and team approached us. And this was, I don't know where exactly it was in the event, but it was during the reInvent days when we could actually do conferences in person.
Those were the days.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And then I heard reInvent is virtual this year, so that's interesting.
It is.
So we met up, and then the Office of CTO got involved, which is basically my team, and then and a few other teams at HashiCorp, like the community teams and so on. And we started kind of working on the proof of concept. Elad already had a proof of concept up, so we kind of wanted to prove that and improved it over time, and then basically we're able to take that proof of concept and elaborate on it. And then Sebastian, who created TerraStack. I don't know, in the CDK community, you might know Sebastian online on GitHub and Twitter. He does a lot of work around CDK and also runs a newsletter and so on. So yeah, Sebastian was working on this project, so I convinced him to work on the CDK for Terraform project, which anyway we were, kind of doing with the CDK team directly, and he immediately got involved. And yeah, it was really exciting to kind of just work on it together as a community. So far, as you can see in the picture, we support of course HCL, JSON, and Kubernetes CRDs in Terraform already. You can kind of treat Terraform as a platform. And then CDK for Terraform is just another interface to interacting with Terraform, and you get access to all of the 200 providers. So that's important to know that you can use it for like AWS, Azure, Google, anything you like that Terraform supports.
That's interesting. Yeah, so that gives Matt, go ahead. I didn't mean to talk over you.
Yeah, so this means that, one of the downsides of the CDK when it came out, people complained was, this is only for AWS. Well, now we've got the same programming model, the same constructs, the same APIs. Now we can do that for all the stuff that Terraform hits.
Absolutely, yes. Awesome. That's very exciting. I think the same constructs that you're familiar with on the AWS CDK side, you can use in CDK for Terraform. But one important distinction here is that AWS CDK, CDK K8s, and CDK for Terraform are independent projects. They all have different CLIs, and currently they don't interop. But I think in the future we want to make them interop, and that's kind of the future we all are looking towards, hopefully, as we work towards this independently in the projects.
Awesome. Looking forward to seeing it.
All right, and we're posting some links here. If you want to chat about CDKTF, you can obviously CDK.tf discuss, and then you can learn more at the CDK.tf.learn or /learn whatever /. All right, Matt, I think it's time. I think we need to get rolling. We've done a lot of yammering here, but I think it's time to get started with our first presentation, which is actually going to be you yourself. So you're
total coincidence. I didn't come up with the schedule myself, so don't anyone think that this is an ego thing. Quick reminder for everybody: if you have any discussions or any questions during any of the talks today, there are the Slack channels that you can talk in. I'm going to go hop in the one right now that is for me. That is the Slack channel for my talk. I'll be answering questions along the way and posting a few links. So we'll see you in a minute.